Imagine a village of 600 people, farmers, families, children, and entire community that had existed for generations. Then, one morning in February 1923, they were gone. Not scattered, not fled, not gradually abandoned, gone. All 600 people vanished overnight, leaving their food on the tables, their tools in the fields, and their animals in their pens. They also left behind one single, chilling note that has never been fully explained. This is the story of Hoer Verde, one of the most disturbing disappearance mysteries in history. It is February 1923. A supply convoy is making a routine journey through the interior of Sao Paulo state in Brazil. As they approach the village of Hoer Verde, they expect the usual sounds of life: dogs barking, children playing, the smell of cooking fires. Instead, they're met with an eerie, profound silence. The convoy enters the village and finds every building intact. There are no signs of fire, no violence, no struggle of any kind. But there are no people. They search every home. They find food left on tables, as if meals were interrupted mid-bite. Some accounts even say the food was still warm. Tools are laid down in the fields, as if their owners had just stepped away for a moment. And the animals? They are still in their pens, alive but unfed, as if no one had tended to them since the previous day. 600 people, completely gone. And then comes the detail that elevates this story from a simple mystery to something much, much stranger. In one building, sometimes described as the village schoolhouse, investigators find a note. A single handwritten note. The note contains just 5 words in Portuguese. Não existe salvação. There is no salvation. 5 words. Written by an unknown hand, at an unknown time. 5 words that explain nothing and raise every possible question. No salvation from what? Who wrote it? And why only that? A village of 600 voices, 600 stories, and all that remained were those 5 cryptic words. There is no salvation. Naturally, the Brazilian authorities launched an investigation. But this is where the story hits a major roadblock. The official records of the investigation are strangely thin, incomplete. Researchers who have tried to trace the paper trail of the Hoer Verde incident have found inexplicable gaps. Think about it. 600 people don't just disappear without generating a massive amount of official paperwork: missing persons reports, military inquiries, government correspondence. Those records, if they ever existed in full, have not been made available. What we do know from the accounts that have circulated since 1923 is this: an extensive search of the surrounding area found no bodies. There was no evidence of a mass exodus, no trails through the dense undergrowth consistent with 600 people walking out at once. There was no evidence of an external attack, and no signs of disease, since the animals were alive and the buildings were untouched. The village had simply emptied, as if someone had lifted the lid off the world and just poured the people out. Over the centuries since the disappearance, many theories have been proposed. The most conventional one is mass migration. The idea is that the community, for some undocumented reason, collectively decided to leave and start a new life somewhere else. The suddenness, the theory goes, is just a product of an incomplete investigation. But this theory has major problems. Why would they leave food on their tables? Why abandon their animals and their valuable tools? Communities that plan a move pack their belongings. They don't just walk away from a half-eaten meal. A second theory suggests violence. Perhaps an external force: bandits, a militia, some organized group arrived at Hoer Verde and either abducted or killed the entire population. The note then could have been left by the attackers or by a traumatized survivor. The problem here is the complete lack of physical evidence. No bodies, no blood, no signs of the kind of struggle that would be necessary to overpower 600 people without a single person escaping to tell the tale. And then there's the third category of theories, the ones that venture into territory mainstream science is reluctant to touch. Mass abduction by forces that left no conventional trace. Some form of dimensional shift or displacement through a mechanism our current understanding of physics cannot explain. An event so bizarre that the 5 words on the note were the only way to describe it. There is no salvation. Salvation from what? We simply do not know. Now, it's important to be honest here. The Hoer Verde story is one of the most popular disappearance mysteries you'll find online. It's also one of the hardest to verify with primary sources. The specific details: 600 people, February 1923, the exact wording of the note appear consistently in retellings. But the documentary evidence supporting those details is much thinner than the story's fame suggests. Some researchers even question whether a village named Hoer Verde existed as described, or if the incident happened exactly as the legend claims. They wonder if the story has grown over time, collecting dramatic details with each retelling. But this uncertainty doesn't make the story less interesting. In fact, it makes it more so, because it raises another question. Why has this particular story, with these specific details, circulated so persistently for an entire century? Stories that endure for that long usually do so for a reason. Either because something real happened or because the story taps into something real within the human imagination. Or, most likely, a combination of both. Whether every detail of the Hoer Verde incident is verifiable or not, the story resonates because it speaks to a deep, universal fear, the fear of collective disappearance. The fear that a community, a living, breathing, interconnected web of human beings can simply cease to exist overnight without warning or explanation. We build communities because they feel permanent. The presence of others gives us a sense of solidity that we can't find on our own. Hoer Verde, whether real or mythologized, describes the terrifying moment when that solidity proves to be an illusion. 600 people, a note that says there is no salvation, and then silence. So, what can we learn from the story of Hoer Verde? First, it teaches us that the most frightening mysteries are the ones where the evidence itself disappears. Not just the people, but the records, the paper trail, the entire documentary foundation that should exist for an event of this magnitude. When the evidence vanishes along with the victims, the mystery becomes almost impossible to solve, but also almost impossible to dismiss. Because an absence of evidence is not the same as evidence of absence. Something happened in or near Hoer Verde. We just may never know why. The second lesson is about the note. There is no salvation. Whatever those words were meant to communicate, whatever fear or knowledge produced them, they have outlasted the person who wrote them and the entire community they described. Words are the longest survivors. Even when everything else is gone, words can remain. It's a powerful reminder to choose ours carefully. And the final lesson is the most personal one. Every community believes it is permanent. Every village, every city, every civilization. We invest our lives in them, assuming they will continue. Hoer Verde tells us, in a dark and quiet whisper, that permanence is an assumption, not a guarantee. The communities we build, the people we love, the ordinary daily life that feels so solid and certain it all deserves our attention, our presence, and our gratitude, while it is still here. That awareness isn't a reason for fear, it's a reason for love. We tell these stories because the mysteries that can't be explained are sometimes the ones that teach us the most about what it means to be human. If this story captivated you, please consider sharing it. And for more journeys into the strangest corners of history, be sure to subscribe, We'll see you in the next one.